Hi, Rick.
Hi, Keith.
Man, good to see you. Uh,
It's,
the title of this podcast is going to be Are You Aware of Your Suffering? And this is inspired by a recent podcast that I listened to with Michael Singer. And he talks about most people think you only suffer when you don't get what you want. And he goes on to say that's not the only time that you suffer. You also suffer. It begins when you want something, when you actually want something. And he suggests that you obsess and worry about it each moment after you decide it's something that you want. Getting a job, promotion, having a baby, planning on an outside event where the weather must be a certain way, all the moments that follow that desire are filled with suffering for a lot of people, especially if you're attached to it being a certain way. And I reflect on my own life before I started, before Michael Singer, I learned about this idea from Michael Singer a couple of years ago. Is that I literally thought that it was about when I didn't get what I wanted that it was a problem, but it became a problem like when I would get what I want. He gives an example like you go to a restaurant and they serve this fabulous meal. He's like, don't ever go back because the next time you want to be the certain way, and then you're
that's right.
disappointed when it's not. Like you've invited all your friends, you told them how great the service is, how like the ambiance is great, and the next thing you do there, they got construction going, the server is new. I mean, all these other things, and then you have a problem with it. It's like if it's great, never go back because you won't be able to handle it, because you come attached to it. And so he shares this, and he's really great about giving examples. And I think of myself is that when I said that when I've gotten what I wanted, like all my suffering and problems should end. So, for example, when I turn 18 and get from under my parents' rules, it's going to be great. Nah, life is just life is just about to give you what for at that point because you don't have the cover of someone taking care of you. And then you go on. Like if I just, get this degree, life is going to be better. No, then you got to go out and get a job. So good luck with that. And then all the people at work is going to hit your stuff. So it's when I get this promotion, it's going to be better. Or when I marry this person, my life is going to be beautiful. For all the married folks out there, how's that working out? Like every day is roses, right? With your beloved. And so this whole idea that once you form this desire and think about it, he suggests that if you're not aware and you become attached to it being a certain way, the suffering begins. When I bought my new car, right? And I remember being so grateful that I have the practice. And the first time I ran over a curve with the new rims, I was like, Rick, you would have thought that somebody had like literally taken a knife and like like just cut me with it, right? But the key was I was aware that my mind was not able to handle this. And I was like, you're gonna have this car for a while, likely. Probably gonna run over more curves. Might as well get the first one out of the way. Right. I remember the first time that I was walking, getting my car, and I was carrying this metal thermos that I carry food in, and I dropped it on the side of the car. And of course, it put a little dent in the car. And now I was like, oh my God, I gotta get that out. Like the suffering begins. This gotta go. And I haven't had the little dent removed. And it's a reminder to me to don't be attached. These are only things. So what do you think about this whole concept, Rick, that following the desire, the want, the need, that after you have it, if you're attached to it being a certain way, let the suffering begin.
Yeah, I think attachment is the problem, right? I mean, the idea that we're humans, so we want desires, all kinds of desires for food, shelter, all the usual things, sex. We want all of that, and we want respect, and we want to feel like we're making a difference, and we want to be honored. We want to be unique. We want all of those things. So desire is sort of a built-in human characteristic that is there every moment of the day. The thing that I think that helps me is I try to remember what is important. And I know that sounds trite, but the idea
Yes.
is that when you want something, that, like you said, the idea of just wanting it creates is sort of a paradox within you. And the paradox is that if you want it, it means you don't have it. So if you're looking for something like love, and you're hooking up with prostitutes, or you're finding people who don't love you back, or you're in a dysfunctional situation all the time, you may want to take a look and see what's missing inside of you, and perhaps there's something you could address there. Same thing with material possessions. You know, if I had it to do over again, one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was trying to acquire all of the badges of success, a nice car, a nice house, great clothes, and all of that stuff. And spent a lot of time working for those things and accumulating those things. The reality is those are externals and they don't make you happy. And I heard someone on an interview, I think it was a Tim Ferriss interview, where I've forgotten the guest, but the guest had this great comeback to Tim Ferriss, who asked him, if you could put something on a billboard for everyone in the world to see, like on the freeway when you're going to work, what would the billboard say? And this guest said, that's easy. I would make the billboard say, it won't make you happy.
God, I love that.
You know, and I think of that all the time when I want to buy something new, or I'm struggling with the idea of, I could be in a better place, or I think that I need to do something to change my mental attitude. All of that is inside. All of that is inside. And that's a hard realization, because we think the externals cause our problem. It's the way we think about the externals that cause our problems. And so when we talk about suffering, to me, suffering is pretty much a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
The more you want, the more you'll suffer. The more desire you have for things to be a certain way, you'll suffer. The more fierceness with which you argue with the universe about what comes your way, you'll suffer.
Yes.
It's the idea that you have an unlimited capacity to want and to desire. And in order to put that in perspective, you have to realize that the externals are challenges that can either create a problem for you spinning out of control and going on a treadmill to acquire things that aren't going to make you happy, or it'll make you realize that you are the one who's driving the car, and you can do what you need to do, work on yourself for love and compassion and gratitude, a sense of mission and peace and all of the rest, without any of the externals. So I'm totally with you, Keith, on that. I love that story. That's a really good one.
Oh, thank you, Rick. Yeah, I just want to close with just kind of iterating what you said, is that when you want something, as you mentioned, it's outside of you, and whatever that is, it will not make you happy. And then you can look at anything in your life, and here's how you know that if it was different after you've acquired it, or after you've had it, or whatever, you wouldn't be happy. You lost it, you wouldn't be happy. And so it has to be from within. And once you get to that it's from within, oh man, you nailed it, brother. I mean, like, seriously, when I take trips now, I literally am aware that I don't need it to be a certain way for me to be okay inside. And I'm able to just be aware of all the things that little Keith would have had a problem with along the way, as well as the attachment to things being a certain way along the way. Like, oh God, I hope this never stops, or this never ends, and this is the greatest high.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want to be turned on no matter what is happening on the outside.
That's right. That's right.
And to be able to do that, man, has really taken a commitment to staying aware, as you mentioned, Rick. And the other thing that you mentioned, what was key, is knowing that you always have a choice. Like, you have a choice in how you see the present moment. And so, Rick, thank you so much, man. I love you.
I love you, Keith. Great show. Appreciate being included.
Thank you.